In the form of Tai Chi that I studied under Mr. Chan, we did silk reeling. And it's not the same kind of silk reeling that you see done in the Chen style. So a lot of times Chen stylists are at odds with what we do and are not in agreement with what we do or understanding or whatever. That's fine, I don't really care. I respect their art for what it is, and which is an awesome martial art. That being said, in the Chen style book I was looking at in Chinese, they talked about Yang Xiaohu and his silk reeling. So there is silk reeling within the Yang family, and it's just not represented in all of the lineages. The way I was taught it, I'll show you, and then we'll look at some examples of it. Some of the main features are that the hands and the center line are tied together, that the torso and the limbs rotate at the same time. So there's always complex vectors being formed, in that the central axis is rotating and these axes are rotating, but they're happening together. So when it happens together, it creates a sort of roundness. So if you were to draw a yin and yang symbol in the air, it would be, the top of it would be here, the bottom of it here. Because if I go above those areas, I lose my structural integrity. When the torso turns 45 degrees left and right, it defines the outer edge because of, again, the structural integrity of the body. When you release the quads and the body turns to a precise angle of about 45 degrees, depending on everyone's body, how it formed. So this is how we determine the sides of the circle. If I go outside of the circle, I'm breaking my structure. So when I start in a natural stance, and I'll start with my right hand first and just let my left hand hang, and I'll seat the palm in my center. My arm is bent naturally, the palm is seated, and every tendon is right where it's beginning to stretch. If I push past that, then there's a potential energy in my arm that makes me want to fall forward. Now I can tighten up my feet and be stiff and you won't notice it, and I won't fall forward, but the body won't move properly. So the body closes and opens, and I turn to my left first with the pinky leading, and I guide with my eyes up to the mouth, and then I turn to center and let the shoulder and the arm release, and the arm unwinds to this angle here. Now, this angle is wrong, and so is this angle, because they have potential energies. But here is where it's most neutral. So if someone were to push on me when my hand's here, it'll just ground out their force. So if Aaron comes from the side, maybe so they can see. So if he's pushing towards me forward, like I can hold him here real easy. I'm not struggling at all. But if I turn the hand angle, I lose it and he gets into my feet. Okay, so really all this is the middle finger at the height of the tip of my nose, the shoulder empty, armpit empty, the elbow hanging from there. And it hangs at this angle. And that's it. Any contrivances in either way, and the structure is destroyed. So I rise and drill, and this winds. But I don't unwind it to here, I let it unwind. I let the potential energy of the tissue that's wound in here release. And it unwinds and stops there all by itself. Then I go to the next part of the circle. There's a circle here and a circle here in the yin and yang. So I start to come around the top of the circle, guiding with my eyes, but after 45 degrees, I pull myself out. So you can only guide down to 45 degrees, and then you have to prop. I guide down to 45 degrees, and then I prop. And propping is pressing the hand down and the head up in opposition, creating a duila, or a stretch of a yin and yang stretching of the spine. Okay, so for, again, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11, and 11 to 12. In this particular version, we have another version. So this covers all the different parts of the circle and all the different ways that the limb can be used in a controlled, powerful, and organized fashion. If I go outside of those triangulations, then I can get stuck, and I'll have to resist, which will create a stiffness, which will allow a person to issue on me. So, in the simplest terms, by having a center axis rotating this way in the torso, and the center axis of the arms rotating this way, and letting the connective tissue turn the palms over, the body becomes integrated in a way that it has no potential energy. So when it's in the right place and you touch it, your energy doesn't add to some other energy that's in there. But if I use strength, or I'm out of center or imbalanced in any ways, then I have to counter that with additional strengths. And all these things lead my opponent to being able to get strength and get back on top of me.